I'm Misty Westfall. I am living with type 2 diabetes. My A1C when I was diagnosed was north of 15. Fasting blood glucose was 404. Since then, I've lost a total of 88 pounds, not since diagnosis, but including pre-diagnosis. And my energy is through the roof. And my A1C now is 7.9. So that is half of what it was when I was diagnosed. I went to my doctor for some routine physical, had routine blood work. One afternoon, it was on a Monday afternoon. The next morning, I got a call at about 8 a.m. from my doctor's office asking me to come in. Obviously, nobody likes to get a call like that, asking you to come in that quickly. I knew it couldn't be great. Went in, my blood glucose number was 404. Which was terribly alarming since I had never had anything like that. It had been a while since it was checked, but it had been in the 80s the last time I had had a check. So I had mentioned to the nurse practitioner that I had at one time gone vegan for about 4 months, and that's when my last check was for my blood glucose, and that's when it was in a really good spot. So she just immediately suggested we consider the Mastering Diabetes program, let me know about a study that was going on at Ohio University. In West Virginia, I'm just right on the border of Ohio, so Ohio University isn't far away. I was all in from that moment and came home, cleared out my fridge, got all the information I could, binged YouTube videos, and so yeah, that's how I jumped in, all in. My cholesterol was 231, and my triglycerides, they didn't seem terribly concerned, but at 236, definitely out of range. My LDL was actually in range, but still 127, obviously higher than I had expected. And A1C was through the roof. As a matter of fact, it was so high they didn't know exactly what it was. They checked it in the office, and she said it was above 15, but apparently what they used to measure could only go to that. So she guessed 16, but she really didn't know that for certain. So pretty alarming numbers to begin with. I had always been one of those people that just sort of pushed through whatever it was. If I was tired, I just moved on. The enormity of that kind of came in on me, and I teared up sitting in the office, and she was so kind and explained to me, I said, the fact that you are calm is making me like strangely calm and not freak out. And she said, well, if you weren't freaking out, I would. She said, I can tell you're taking this seriously and you'll do what is needed. And of course I said, absolutely. Really from that moment, as I said, I went home, cleared out my fridge, and I said, this is it. We're gonna do whatever it takes, however long it takes. Thankfully, it didn't take very long. A1C 7.9, pretty big drop in half. When I left the doctor's office that day, as I mentioned, I was all in, but it took a little while to get enrolled through, since it was a study at Ohio University. It took just a little bit. So in the interim, I did my own research, and like I said, I kind of binge watched videos, Mastering Diabetes and several other. The very next day, I was working the program without even knowing everything about the program. So, but as soon as I got completely kind of plugged in, especially when I started working with Marco, we were able to really just fine tune some of the things. I knew kind of what not to eat and what not to do, but learning what to do, I guess that was a little bit of a learning curve, trying to think about combining, and that the whole combining foods kind of thing has always been, kind of trendy and all of that. But I have learned there's a little bit of truth to some of that, as far as like having greens with my morning oatmeal. It seems to really, really steady things. And so just learning kind of some of those things, it was a bit of a learning curve. But I tell you, there weren't that many roadblocks. I was only on the program probably a couple of weeks, when I took a trip to Paris for a week. And surprisingly, I somehow went to Paris without eating cheese. I don't ask me how, but I did. But Marco, my coach, really helped with that. He gave me some pointers, just saying, if it's not on the menu, just talk to the waiter. Just say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you put something together without salt, without oil, those parameters? And it was incredible, some of the meals that I got, completely off the menu, but just fabulous. So that probably would have been a bit of a roadblock to me, but he really gave me the tools to navigate that well. And he also, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things like that. So I want everything, I want it to be perfect. If I'm jumping all in, I want it to be perfect. And he gave me kind of the understanding that you can give yourself a little bit of grace when you're traveling and understand you're not in 100% control when you're out, and maybe a little oil will sneak in. You don't want it there. You don't know it's there, but give yourself a little grace. And I've done that. He said, concentrate on making home clean. And that's really what I've done. So I have a lot of family in the area, so we have a lot of dinners and that kind of thing. And they're very used to it by now that I bring my own food. If I go to a restaurant where I've researched ahead of time and I know they'll have a big salad, I'll take my own dressing, that kind of thing. I have to say that's one of the biggest ones, just to cut myself a little bit of slack, to not beat myself up, because I think in the past I have done this, and I think probably a lot of people who have been on one diet or another for most of their adult lives, off and on, you slip a little bit and then you just beat yourself up and say, hey, what's the use? I'll start next Monday. And then so you've got 5 more days of piling things on. I didn't do that at all, because he really fostered that sort of atmosphere where it was acceptable for me to come to him in the middle of the week or in the end of the week and just say, this is where I was. I did fine, but I had some bread, and say, for example, in Paris, and for him to just say, that's fine. maybe not perfect, but who's perfect in this? So he helped me kind of wrap my mind around the fact that doesn't constitute a fail. That is just maybe a little slip, but that doesn't mean a backslide. It doesn't mean I'm off the program. So it never happened in all that time that I said, oh, well, my day is shot. I'm just giving me a slice of cheese. Well, I've lost about 88, actually almost 89 pounds now over the last 2 years. 24 of that has been since I started the program. And I truly can barely find the words to say what a difference it has made in my energy level. I mentioned that I was in New York this past weekend with my 19-year-old niece, and I wore her out. She could not, she just, I wanted to go to a flea market, and she just said, I'm just too tired. And I thought, wow, that doesn't happen. And I think I got accustomed to feeling fatigue and just pushing through it, because you do what you have to do on a daily basis. Because I had understood when I started doing my research on diabetes, I understood that fatigue is a big part of that. And it had never registered to me, I'm feeling fatigued. I just thought, I'm middle-aged, and this is what middle-aged and being overweight feels like. Well, I'm still middle-aged, and I'm still not at goal, so I'm still, overweight. That's not what it feels like. To me, I wake up now with so much energy. I literally sometimes, I kind of caught myself the other day. I hopped up off the sofa and kind of stood there shocked, thinking, what did you just do, crazy lady? It occurred to me, I have so much energy now that I kind of don't know what to do with it. And I'm 58 years old. That's odd, but very exciting. So those last 24 pounds have really, even though that's a smaller subset of what I've lost overall, it's made the biggest difference. That, and obviously the way I got there, feeding myself with food that serves me well and that provides the energy instead of just weighing me down. And somehow I mentioned earlier cheese. I was a cheese addict. I had a friend once that said she thought I was going to turn into a grilled cheese sandwich at one point because as a vegetarian, a lot of us gravitated toward that and haven't had it. And I just feel lighter overall. It wasn't as difficult a transition as probably most would have because I was, for the most part, vegetarian. It really was just eliminating the cheese for the most part because I've never been a fan of milk in my life. So that has never been an issue for me. And I truly think, I kind of said the enormity when it sunk in that I have this health issue now that I've just never, I've always felt that I was just a very healthy person. Now I have this issue. Really nothing was going to keep me from that. So my mindset was such that I love cheese, but I love health more than that. And I want to be able to, be around for my family, be able to travel the way I want to travel, and be able to wear out my niece when we're, walking around the city, that kind of thing. So where I know there probably are a lot of barriers to most people who do this, I didn't feel them as strongly, I think, as maybe some. And maybe that's a little odd, but I already knew before I even got into the coaching, obviously, I knew there were things. I knew I had to give up cheese. That was the main thing. I had some vegan processed food in my fridge and freezer, and obviously I got rid of all of that. But for the most part, I just decided, okay, I'm going to start eating vegetables and grains and that kind of thing until I know what else we can put together. And then once I officially got into the program with Coach, it's really kind of funny because I just absolutely love my breakfast. It is so simple. It is literally just oats, a few handfuls of either kale or spinach. It's generally spinach, maybe 3 cups of that. I'll put some frozen fruit. This morning it was blueberries and cherries. Toss it in the microwave, and it's just, I don't know, it's just delicious. And I missed it while I was traveling the last several days, and I could not wait till I could make that this morning. So I love that. I'm a big vegetable person anyway. I kind of always have been. So I'll throw together kind of kitchen sink soups and salads, that kind of thing. Just throw together anything I have. I've got a big pot of soup going right now. Rainy day. It felt like a soup day. So yeah, that sort of things. I love Mexican food. So rice and beans was, that's just such an easy go-to for me. I make my own salsa, throw that in there. And just some of those things are just so simple. And rice and beans is an easy thing for me to take when I'm going to a potluck or going to a family member's house for dinner or something like that. So those are the things. And then obviously, like a lot of people, I think with the summer, just frozen fruits and tossing it in my Nano's machine, but making nice cream. And I've gotten some of my nieces and nephews and great nieces and nephews, given some of them to try it, and they love it. Who doesn't love frozen fruit? So we were at Smorgasburg in Brooklyn this weekend, and there was a vendor who sold frozen shaved fruit, and it was fabulous. It was just the fruit, just kind of shaved in a bowl, like shaved ice and that kind of thing. So my mind was going, how can I do that at home? I'm going to figure that out. For myself, and really just about anyone who knows me and has seen me in the last few months, they'll remark about the difference. And I think if you can not preach and just show people how much energy you had. I was chasing around my 2-year-old great niece yesterday in the yard. My niece was kind of huffing and puffing a little, and I was like, I'm fine. I don't know. I think for me, it's kind of modeling it more than beating someone over the head. But I would, if anyone really is on the fence, I would say, just try it. You don't have to commit to the next 45 years. How about let's commit to the next 7 days? Who can't do 7 days? And just see if you feel better. My numbers started coming down in that period of time. And I wouldn't say that I'm atypical. I think most people, if they followed the program like I did, their numbers would start coming down in a week as well. From March 13th, so that was about 2 weeks, it had already gone from 404 to 174. About 3 weeks in, I was in the 113 range. My numbers did come down really quickly. I got a glucometer and started watching it. It was suggested that I check it just in the morning, and truly, I hate needles, and so I had to kind of psych myself up to do that. But then I ended up, because I like information, checking it throughout the day just to see how things went. So really, within 3 weeks, I was in like the 113 range. I'd even dipped down into the 90s on occasion. So it moved quickly. I truly can't even explain the difference in the level of energy that I have. I've started running again, which I haven't done in many, many years. And I surprised myself the other day that I was able to do a mile without stopping. And I truly haven't done that in probably a decade. So just very excited with the level of energy I have now. As we're finishing up here, I would love to put a plug in for private coaching. Coach Marco was absolutely incredible for me. He is one of the most positive, encouraging people I've ever met. And I really was quite sad when we finished our last session, but he very kindly said to keep in touch. So I will do that. But I think if the other coaches are even close to the level that Marco is, I would so strongly encourage getting involved with that, because it helps with encouragement, positivity, but it also helps with accountability. And that is just invaluable in my opinion.